So I'm your host here, Mahmoud Sawan in New York. All right, Sam. The topic on the that is all over the place this week is the president's announcement that he's gonna go for the third term. So whoever is ready, get prepared, and he's gonna make sure that he wins. This came to a surprise to many folks out there. To some, it was not a surprise because since the drafted constitution was not passed, some people think that this was the aim and objective of the president to go for the third term. But Gambian people have spoken loud and clear during the drafted constitution. They have made it clear that they want their presidents to only be there for 2 terms, and that need to be honored. So our discussion today is gonna gear towards that, to look at what are the, what is involved in having the president seeking for the third term, something that Gambian people would not like to see. And also, what does this mean to our new Gambia? What we fought for? We fought against dictatorship. We fought that we didn't want our leaders to be there that long. Come for 2 terms and call it, a goal. What you cannot achieve during those 2 terms, let somebody come and take it over and take it from there. So what is your take, Sam, on this whole announcement of the president? And then we can come back to the Constitution. Welcome.
Yes, Mr. Swan, thank you. I mean, you said it well, and some people favor this and some people don't. And then, of course, my take on it is very, very simple. I'm going to start by saying Gambian people have woken up, okay? They are very well aware of what should happen in our country for us development. 2016 election was a wake-up call when they realized that, yes, President Jawara led our country for about 31 years. Gambia came in 22 years. 2016 election, when they realized that political parties can come together and form a coalition and be able to take Jammeh out, who was very strong in his position and has won elections after elections. If they could come together and take him out in 2016, and Gambians, to Gambians, that was a wake-up call. And everybody understands that, wow, this is, we now have that good path to really focusing on getting our country to where it needs to be by not allowing any president to stay in here for a long time. Because for one person to stay in presidency, that we've seen in African countries, has not helped. What that does is it enriches that one person and his people that work for him, while the poor people continue to be poor and they continue to suffer. They continue to fight for their survival, okay, in all conditions. So Gambian people know that. Nobody can fool them anymore. Even if it's President Jawara or Jammeh, if they were the ones in power now, Gambian people are going to say, 2 terms is enough. That's what we've seen successful countries do. Okay, sometimes you have to look at successful countries. What are they doing? What have they done to get to where they are? One thing we know in common, that we've seen in common in a lot of them, is they change presidents. No matter how good a president is, at the end of their second term, they have to leave office. That's their constitution. We need to make sure that we do the same thing, very, very important, because this is the way to give an opportunity for another person to come in and take it from where this president leaves at, and also undo all the bad things that are happening in our country. Because if you have one president that wants to stay 3, 4, 5 terms, or want to stay there forever until they get older to a point where they can't run anymore, that's bad for us. Issue of our country. And this president could not fight corruption. So why leave him in power in office? To continue in office, you have to look at when Gambia is losing millions and millions and millions. We need to stop that bleeding. We really need to stop that bleeding. And the way to stop that bleeding is to change the president and just to change our leadership. Otherwise, the same thing will continue to happen over and over and over. Before we know it, we will be in big trouble because Gambia's debt is now out of control. That's why I propose a debt ceiling to be on that's why I propose our National Assembly to pass a debt ceiling law so that we have a limit of debt. Once we get there, we can't borrow anymore. We've got to contain and maintain what we have and leave within that. It will help discipline our leaders to really look at our own revenue and see what we can do out of it. Gambia is such a small country, very small country. It should be very easy to run if we have the right people in place and the right president, who also surrounds himself with the right people. Okay, if we have that, I think it's going to help. You're muted. I saw you talking. Are you talking to me? You're muted.
But Sam, sorry about that.
Okay, yeah, you were muted. I thought you were talking.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of like my opening statement, and we can get into details here. I'll allow you to come in as well.
Okay. Thank you, Sam, for that, wonderful thoughts. It appears that the Gambian people already have spoken in the constitution that we need 2 terms. So what do you think is behind the president's motive for this announcement? Do you think it just came out of the blue, or he's just hungry for power, or is caused by the people around him? What is your thought?
Well, it's a conflicting story because prior to this speech, there was another time that he had a speech with some elderly people and said that he's going to go. At some point, he's going to go, even though he didn't specify. But he was showing that, giving the impression that he's also going to step down and go, okay, and go live his life after presidency. So now seeing or hearing him saying that he wants to go for the 3rd term is not a surprise because this president and his government have always had conflicting stories or conflicting statements in different times. So to me, it's not a surprise. But we Gambians, we need to ask ourselves. We know that no one can fool us. Okay, we've seen what's past is past. Gambian people are aware of they are getting to the 21st century technology and information, and there's a media power that's really educating people. Things that we didn't have during President Dora's time, things that started during Jammeh's time, and really was very powerful until we got Jammeh out. So now people are very well aware, and no one can fool Gambian people anymore. 2 terms is 2 terms. All Gambians know that that's what's happening around the world. That's why the world countries are successful. The ones that are more successful than ours, or that's part of the reason, may not be the reason why, but part of the reasons they are successful. So 2 terms is enough. And I will say one thing, I know some people will argue against. They will say, well, in fact, I heard this even today listening to some audience in one of the forums. After I released my audios, I always do some audio, send them out. After I released my audios, I saw heard somebody saying, well, the 2016 elections, when the president came to office, he came to the office under the coalition guidelines. That was the coalition team. And so they are assuming and they're saying that didn't count. So the 2021 election was when he really got his first term. And I say no to that. Because here's the reason. 2016, when we had elections, they had a coalition, they had an agreement for a 3-term limit, a 3-year term limit. and then this president will step away, organize elections. Well, he came out and announced that he's not. He is going to run his mandate, which is 5 years. If he runs the mandate, well, there are pros and cons to that, which his advisors didn't tell him very well. Once he runs the mandate, he said he's not going to take the 3 years. He was going to take 5 years. That 5 year become a mandate. And once he serves the 5 years, it's just like what I said in my audios. You cannot eat your cake and have it. Okay, so that 5 years.
No, definitely you can. You
cannot
cannot eat it. It's
have
gone already.
right?
So how are you gonna have it?
Exactly. So that 5 years instead of 3 years, it took 5 years, which is a mandate. So once he takes the 5 years, then the first 5 years is gone. 2021 election, he won, and he's gone for his second term. So at the end of this second term, that is his 10 years. That is his 2 terms. Official 2 terms, 2 mandates. That's enough. And we shouldn't have a third term. That's why it's very important. We have this revised constitution. The draft constitution really needs to be very specific in this area and put the 2-term limit on there. That way, it's not just against this president. It'll be for anybody coming into power, no matter who comes. Even if the person, even if we get someone that drops down from this high, we're not going to allow him to go more than 2 terms. 2 terms is the limit. Serve your 2 terms, do your best, and get out. Allow somebody else to come in and do their part. This is what's going to create competition between our president as to who is going to be the best serving president in our country. See, that's important. That's how our country can be developed, and not allow one person to stay there over and over and over and enrich themselves while the poor gets poor.
So do you think the president is looking at the first 3 years as something that is not part of equation, which means like that was a transitional government, so he wants to reflect and say that this first term is where his term starts. So that being the case, he has the authority, or he should be given the privilege to contest for the 3rd term.
Yep, I think that's the one thing that him and his team, and I heard people saying that from his party as well, that the first term was not his term, was the coalition, but the coalition's agreement was 3 years, not 5 years. It was just 3 years. So if he had served only 3 years and stepped away and organized somebody else to run, right? Then at this time he could be coming now and then try to run again for another term and then another term after that. That would have allowed him to, if he won all of them, that would have allowed him to go for 13 years. The first 3 years as coalition, gone. And then 5-year mandate, another 5-year mandate if he wins. That will make him 13 years in office. But the first 3 years that he had in the office, even though it was under the coalition government, well, he changed that from coalition to a mandate. He called it the mandate. He said the Constitution gave him the right to run for 5 years. And that's what's in our Constitution. Yes, it is true. Our Constitution, when a president is elected, they can go for 5 years as one mandate. Well, if he chose the Constitution as the mandate, that mandate, part of the Constitution, then the first 5 years will count and should count as a mandate.
So this, I think this is where the debate is at. People are saying to him that, that is, you should run again because, nothing is there to stop you. The Constitution wasn't passed, and perhaps, the coalition transitional government is not you. This is your first term. So that argument, and the Gambian people also spoke in the Constitution, the drafted Constitution, that they should only give a president 2 terms. After that, the president should not. So that conflict and that debate, do you think this is something that probably would need the country to come together and talk and have a talk? Because right now, President Barrow is definitely really, at a position where he could really fix this issue, or he could break it forever. The fact that Gambian people right now, they can go out there and really, you know, speak against his intention to run for third term, which really there's nothing to legally to stop him. So do you think we need to sit down and have a debate about it? And then regarding the drafted constitution, the reason why it was put aside, according to many people, is because of this term limit. It was not because of other laws, because they could change those. They could twist, any other laws that they feel is too rigid or is too controlling or is too, overboard. But they did not do that. They went to the National Assembly and then just voted against it, voted against the drafted constitution, wasted millions of dollars, um, which is really sad because those money could have gone to something else. The effort put in that draft constitution is, overwhelming. And then now we don't have that constitution again. So do you think do we need to engage the president? Because he himself said this. He didn't want to overboard, he didn't want to stay over the board. He's seen Jammeh, he have seen Jawara. They all came and they all gone. He is gonna go. You remember that debate, that discussion that he had on the TV, on the national TV, or on a campaign? He said, "Don't worry, I'm building up my retirement place." I even formed my non-profit that I'll be working for. So those are if those words were sincere, why would the president come again and tell his opponents that be ready for me in the next 2 years? I'll come back and then I'll defeat you. What is going on in this president's head or in his circle?
Well, yeah, there could be a variety of reasons. And one reason is he has the right to change his mind. Just like everybody else, everybody can change their mind. That's one. The other reason is maybe his first speech, what he said in his first speech was something that he meant, and he would step away. But then you can have the bad influences around him, the people that are around him, the advisors, that would go to him and tell him, no, don't do that. You need to run. Jawara was here for 31 years. Jammeh was here for 22 years. So you need to go past that. And part of the reason for that is, there is a certain group of people, a small group of people around him that are enjoying themselves. They are they've got something they've never dreamt of getting. They are getting something they couldn't get on their own. They're only getting it now. They don't want that to stop. As a result, because they know
something like what?
Well, all the money that they get. Just think about it, the corruption money that they get. They're getting things that they are not supposed to be getting. So, and they know that if this president steps away, all of that peace and enjoyment that they have with their families will stop. Obviously will stop because the next president coming is not going to put them in place. They will all be gone. So because of that fear of loss, they will go to president and tell him, no, don't do that. You need to stay in, run for a third term. Because Jawara did it, Jammeh did it, you should do it. That'd be another option why they would say that. But to Gambia, that's bad for our country, really bad for our country. We cannot let few individuals continue to enjoy when our hospitals are suffering, when our people are suffering, when the cost of living is really high for our people in the average Gambian. Average Gambian can't afford to live a good life. So no, it really is it's not good. However, I do want to mention something while we're on this. I think I'm going to point fingers to our National Assembly members because they had the authority to start this before even before the draft constitution, even before the draft constitution was started. All right, National Assembly could have really looked at all of those, just like when President Barrow came in power and he wanted to make Fatmata Tambajang the vice president. There was an age limit there. She couldn't serve as the vice president. They turned around and quickly changed the laws to accommodate her. And that's how she became vice president. Why couldn't they have done the same thing to go to the term limit also and change that immediately, even if it requires a referendum? Because I know there are some things that I didn't look at this part, whether this is an entrenched clause or not on our constitution. Even if it's an entrenched clause, the National Assembly could have voted for that and get 2/3 majority, vote yes for it, and immediately send it to a referendum. Let Gambian people speak. When Gambian people vote and say, yes, we want only 2 terms, well, we wouldn't be talking about it by now. It would have been over. It would have been already in the Constitution, and Barrow would not have been talking about that anymore. So that's where the problem is.
Okay, you got a point there. I think that was like that was also an issue that the coalition government really failed. And in that case, you don't have to only blame the president for that, because he was not the only one who was in the coalition government. You have Dabo, you have Alifa, you have Mohammed Ba, you have all the other coalition partners. So why didn't they change the stamp limit there? If actually other parts of the the constitution clause were changed. So I think it was done out of either they didn't see this coming, or out of selfishness, because none of them would want to definitely serve for 2 years and stick with that. Because if that was their priority, I totally agree with you. That would have been something that they should have focused on. That should be the top priority, actually.
Yep.
That would have. But again, this president, if he intends to do anything, he could do it too, because you know why? There's a lot of things that he did go against or did change that we don't have any control over. I mean, we have seen president. Look at what is going on in Senegal. President Macky Sall is trying to change the laws to run for the 3rd term. Barrow could have done such thing like that too. Who would have stopped him? So only the people of the citizens would have done that by uprising against the leadership. So again, it's only take a good will and somebody who is patriotic to make such a move and say, you know what? Yes, I am the leader, and I this is what I want, to set an example for. I will serve for 2 terms and call it a day. Somebody has to demonstrate that in order people follow suit. But I don't think we are lucky to find that leader yet. That's why we are in this situation. Barrow has all the opportunity to step aside, like you said, after 3 years, and he could come back with a fresh term.
Yep.
He did not do that. He went past 3 years, and so saying that agreement is just an agreement. It was not signed. Or there's constitution said the president must rule for 5 years. So we passed that phase. Some people think that he wasn't gonna run for after that 5 years. He came back again and said he was gonna run. So okay. Now people are saying that his 2nd term should be ended in the next 2 years. But he came back again. At first he sent a signal to everybody that he's gonna leave. And now all of a sudden he came back again at a meeting. So either his people are influencing him, or he's getting power, really in the power, or whatever is causing the issue is really not gonna help our democracy, because you know why? People right now, Gambian people are getting fed up. They're getting fed up because promises made during the campaign, none of those were fulfilled. People are suffering. Cost of feeding is going up. Gambia is more expensive than average, countries in the Africa. So there is no solution to stop that is happening. The country is really not making headway in anything that we could be talking about today. Yeah, yes, there are some development in the Basay area, in the other provinces, but that's not suffice enough compared to the expectation of this government. So I think it is relevant to say that this government need so should and understand that Gambian people want new Gambia, where they we're gonna be governed accordingly, and the will of the people, the way that people want to be governed, and people want 2 terms. They don't want to pass that. No matter how good you are as a leader, they want you to serve 2 terms to give opportunity. And 2 terms also come with something. It come with it come with commitment to demonstrate something that could be a legacy. If you are given 2 terms, you're gonna look at these terms like, I want to be remembered for something because I'm only here for these 2 terms. So that remembrance, that will of legacy, having to leave legacy behind, would force leaders to do good things, to compete. I want my legacy to be better than the former president's legacy, whereby I can sit in this country and enjoy what this country has to offer after presidency. There's life after presidency. You don't have to be stuck in, going on an exile after presidency because of your mishaps. No, you should be able to be, cherished. You should be able to be honored, to live in a luxurious life as other presidents, in the West after your presidency. But the only way we do that if we do things right. But if we are breaking all the laws, all the rules, all the things that democracy actually requires, embezzling all the money, building expensive things, we're going to be worried when we leave power. We're going to be prosecuted, or we're going to be accounted for these things. And this is the reason why these people are not leaving power, because they think that the next guy who come to that power would see everything and they will hold them accountable, will make sure that they are being, prosecuted or being, commission being conducted on them, so that people's money could be accounted for. So this is the reason. Yeah. But if you have 2-term mindset and know that I cannot get away with all these things unless and until I do good, then you as a president will be very focused on that. And I think this is what we are having. I think Barrow has the opportunity, was given a lot of money from the West. Okay, in the beginning, with the expectation that Gambian has demonstrated, the maturity in conducting an election where we uprooted a dictatorship. That was a good sample for everyone. Everyone was impressed. And Barrow being, calm person, under the coalition leadership, people expect so much more from this guy. Everybody's talking good thing about him. He doesn't talk a lot. He is this, he's that, he's humble. Yeah. And that's why people rushed. So give him this welcome to the State House. But again, Gambian people, we are always a problem. We are always the enemy of our own progress. Our bad apples started to get closer to the president. One bad apple, destroyed the rest. They started contaminating around the presidents and then making him lose vision, making him to become an angry person, making him to become a selfish person, making him to become, corrupted leader. So these bad apples were only looking for their own interests. They have failed in the past, and they want this president to fail. And these bad apples mostly are people who are in Jamil or Jawara's regime. Sandwich the president, talk to him, give him falsified information about what the country is heading, where the country is heading, and how the country people are. So this actually ignite this division, creating hypocrisy between different political leaders, and tarnishing the entire image of the coalition. So the president now is loose. There's no control. There's no accountability, and he's out there to do whatever he pleases him. So now look at the situation we are. Our inflation rate is unspeakable. Our cost of living is unbearable. There is no agricultural exports. There is no mechanism to grow our economy. There is no the dollar. I mean, the dollar rate is going down every day. So electricity is increasing. Yeah, but everything is kind of getting out, unbearably, it cannot be endured. So you expect us to live in a decent life on people. That's not possible. So this president needs to understand that what people around him are telling him what he wants to hear, not what he needs to hear. And that's why he needs to stay back, reflect, and say, listen, what I used to say in the beginning to 2 terms, I should stick to that, give Gambian people their country back, and let's practice a democracy that will bring productivity, improvement and so forth in the lives of many Gambians. So I think I will allow you to comment, but the whole entire, the whole entire thing behind the president's announcement is not logical, and it's not really something that is good for the country, because he has another opportunity now to demonstrate good leadership, to make sure that he look for Gambia's interest, not his party's interest, not against somebody else. If you dislike somebody, or you had a fight with somebody, or you are not in good time with another person or another leader, that shouldn't cost our country. Look for the interest for our country. But if I say that I don't want Sam to be a leader, or Sam's party to be a leader, to lead this country, so therefore I will stay, you are really blindsided, because Sam's party or Sam is not the only person in this country, and this country don't belong to Sam or his party. So I think we have this UDP and NPP, beef, that they are responsible for our mess. I always say that their leadership and the party are responsible for our mess, because they are only looking for themselves. There are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who are not living, who are not part of those parties. So you have to look at the interests of the silent minority, or the country as a whole. So I will let you continue with this discussion. I have spoken a lot.
Absolutely, Mr. Swanee. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, you touched on a lot of areas. Yeah. A lot of areas. And one thing that I wanted to add to that, I was going to get to, and you've already touched that part, and that is part of the reason, if you look at Africa in general, part of the reason, even though we're specifically talking about Gambia, a part of the reason why some presidents don't want to leave is because they fear of who is coming next is going to go after them. They want to spend more time so they can cover their tracks. That's what they do. And unfortunately, what they don't realize is either way, one way or the other, people are going to go after them anyway, right? So you might as well, you're actually better off go through elections now, or drop out of elections and say, 2 terms is enough, and start to work on rebuilding your legacy the remaining years. And at the end of the second term, you give up through elections, have another democratically elected president come in power. Even if they go after you, it'll be better than, listen to this, it's going to be better than what happens in Africa. What happens in Africa is presidents continue to stay, they want to stay and cover their tracks, while there's a huge amount of corruption in place. People get fed up to a point where the military takes over. The military also get fed up. They say, you know what? We don't want to deal with this now. We're fed up. Enough is enough. They come and take over. It's better you hand it over to the civilians then the military take over by force. And when they do that, what happens? What do we see? They will arrest you. They will confiscate all your assets and everyone that works for you. They will confiscate their assets, freeze their assets, and then prosecute them and put them in prison. That's what military is for. So you're better off deal with civilians than deal with military, right? So the best choice is give up, get to a point, 2 terms is enough. Let's allow somebody else to come in and run the country. Because where we are now, you know, we are losing millions. We're losing millions. I mean, there has been announcements from several different departments by the national audit team that says the millions and millions and millions have been missing in all these places. But we've not seen any one of them, not even a single person arrested in those million cases. The only person that I know of is that Banja person from the fisheries. And part of the reason that one got arrested because there were video records of him, clear evidence, indisputable evidence that caused him to be arrested because the video was indisputable. Everybody's seen that. That circulated throughout that social media. So they will take action in that because that was very obvious. So he got in trouble for doing a little bit, allowing that, accepting a little bit of bribe. Okay, when there are millions and millions and millions lost in different departments and no one has been held accountable. This is part of the frustration. And that is what Gambians don't want to continue. We don't want that. We want those millions and millions and millions invest in our country, build a country with that, go fix our hospitals, fix agriculture so people can live better lives, so that we can sustain our own cost of living, which will also create jobs. Go fix the healthcare. Go fix that, do a security reform. Let's get this, what is called economic or echo soldiers out of our country. Let our own brothers and sisters in our army take care of our country. We can do that ourselves. That's what we did during Jawara's time. That's what we did during Jammeh's time. We can do the same thing. We need to allow our people to fix our fisheries department. You name every department. I have not seen any department in Gambia that I can say has been outstanding in the last 5 years, or outstanding performance from that department. I've not seen any one of them. So you don't have any outstanding. Outstanding is actually a high class word here. I'm going to say I have not seen any ministry that actually performed to the expectation of people. Which ministry? Not the health department, not the Department of Education, not Department of Agriculture, not the Department of Fisheries, not Department of Energy or so, not the Department of Local Government. All of these have been just a mess. So do Gambians want to continue to do that or live in those conditions? No, absolutely not. That's why they need change. That's why we do not need to allow another person, a president, to go for 3 terms now. Those days are over. We've had those days with President Jawara, when I would say for those of us who witnessed that time, we're very young. And then Jammeh's era came. We've seen what happened in Jammeh's time. Now is Barrow's time. Gambian people have learned their lessons. All right, they got their wake-up call. They know they can make changes, and they want to change for better. So 2 terms is enough. I think that's what we need to really elaborate on to make sure that this gets into everyone's head. 2 terms is enough. No matter who comes into power, let them serve 2 terms and go, so we can have the next person that come in and hopefully take our country to the next level. If that person doesn't, well, guess what? They're not going to have 2 terms. The first term, at the end of the first term, we can vote them out and give the chance to somebody else. This is where we need to go as a country. This is how we can create a competition between president to do a good job in our country, to build our country to our expectations. Gambia is a very small country. We had independence with certain countries that have already left us behind. Gambia joined the United Nations the same year as as what's the name of that country again? Can't remember a couple of them. All of those countries have left us behind. They've all left us behind because you know why? They stopped corruption. In Gambia, we can't stop corruption. We are part of the corruption. That's why we can't stop it. So any government that cannot stop corruption should not even serve more than one term. That's the way I look at it. They shouldn't serve more than one term because 2 terms will be the worst. It's just going to make matters worse for all countries. Yep.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. I think you mentioned some points here that I will elaborate on. Sam, see, the problem that Gambian people are having, is that we are getting matured but slowly when it comes to politics, and still we having problems with ourselves because we look out just for us, not a country as a whole. Okay, we need to transcend that. We need to transcend that. Our leaders represent us. Anything that our leaders reflect, usually it is something that is within us. See, that's why they said leaders represent their people. If a leader is good, that means their people are good. If a leader is bad, that means the average people are bad. So the leaders represent people because people force the leader, they mold the leader to become who they become. Even dictators, the people mold them to become dictators. It could be, a few people, it could be whatever people, but those people are the one who represent us. Not everybody can become a leader. Not everybody can get, leadership position. So those people that we select, we elected them, not by force. We elected them because we have trust in them, faith in them. We believe that they can be there to fight for our cause. But these are the same people within our community. They are not magicians. They don't come from the sky. So they represent us. So we need to start building leaders that are ethically good. They can become ethical. They can become, they can keep their words. And we need to fight corruption within. Yes, it's good to fight corruption from the top. There's no doubt about that because the top, they have the muscles, to really be making the big dent when it comes to corruption. They have the political muscles. When they take big. But corruption grooms from, within and then from the grassroots. When people are corrupt, since, the onset, they tend to be corrupt when they get up there. So we Gambian people, we have a big problem that we gradually coming, we're getting better day by day, but it's very slow. If you look at this election, these 3 elections that took place, the mayoral election, the council election, and then the parliamentarian election, the Gambian people have demonstrate that certain political game played by the government or people in power is no more working. They are transcending and getting over this fact that we need to buy our votes need to be bought. We need to sell our votes. We need to sell our soul to the devil by selling our votes. They have really demonstrated that, and it hasn't worked in these elections. What has also not worked was the tribal card. We have seen that Jammeh have used that a lot to remain in power for so long. And Barrow, we have seen him use it as well. But I can tell you, it might have worked in the presidential campaign, but not in this election these 3 elections that took place. Because you know what? Nobody cares anymore about tribe. We are all Gambians. We are all families. We have intermarriages among ourselves. We are all the same people. Nobody cares about tribes anymore. The voters don't care about that. Come to me and say Sam is this, Sam is from this tribe, and it's not gonna be good for you, or he will ask you to leave this country and all that. We don't care about that. So that's why it has no effect on those elections. So we were expecting more of such from a Gambian citizen. They have to come out and transcend this notion of being caged by people in power. So that being said, it is important that this time limit really is something that we will all embrace if we had the opportunity to serve that office. It has to be built with it. We have to stop, this mindset of me, 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 me. We gotta be looking at we. What is good for our country? And this is why President Barrow is finding it so difficult, right? When he says something from the bottom of his heart, and that is good for the country, but people applaud him, he will go back and change it. Because people around him are looking at we, me, me. And we need to transcend that. It has to be from within our communities and within ourselves. These people that are there that destroying our country one way or the other, they are from us. They didn't come from Saudi Arabia or any other nationalities. No. They are within us. They are our brothers and sisters. The people building those houses, embezzling those funds, they are our own people. They didn't come from, Western Hemisphere. So what is wrong? The people we grew up with are the one causing us this problem. They are not going for the best interest of our country, but for me, me, me. What is in there for me? What life should I live before I die? So these are the problems. We need to solve the problem where it is, or where it's occurring. And I think if once the Gambian people have started transcending from this selfishness and looking at patriotism, looking at the country from holistic point of view, for the collective interest, we will transcend this issue. And we will hold our leaders accountable to stay for 2 terms. If everybody around Barrow tell him that, listen, it is ethical, it is constitutional, and this is what Gambian people want, you need to step up after 2 terms. If everybody around him said that, I guarantee you, Barrow would listen to. But if everyone around him is telling him that, no, don't leave. The other time was just transitional government. There's no law stopping you. What will happen to us? When you leave, Dabo comes to power. We will be in prison like one of the Ibrahim Assisi or some other Caesar was saying. We're going to be sitting in prison. Look at those kind of words. That's fear. You instill in fear. Even president, they get fearful. It's a human being. No matter how brave a leader is, they have fear. Let me tell you, fear has no comparison. When people instill fear, elections are won. When Dembo Bai first came to that, to last minute and spoke about tribalism, that fear to many foreigners, it made an impact on the election. There's no doubt. I'm not a statistician or anything like that, but I could tell. When President Bush was fighting Bin Laden and then Saddam Hussein, terrorism, they instill fear to the American people. They won elections. So this is the game that is played. Even a leader, if you make him fearful, if you tell Barrow that, if you leave this power, you're going to get commission, you're going to give this, you're going to do that. Come on. Why would you think? He will do anything to try to stay there. And that's going to cause us harm. It's going to cause him harm. It's going to cause the country harm. because you know what? It's not gonna be good anything for anybody. Because the slightest chance have, people have to take him out of office, then they're gonna go after him. Because you know what? Those telling him that if you leave, they're gonna come after you, are making him to stay longer. So this is the problem. We need to
Well,
start. We need to start talking to our leaders in a way that will definitely um, guide our leaders to be ethically responsible and to stay within the wills of the people. Your final take.
yep. Well, I want to talk a little bit about just. I want to add a little comment to that.
Okay, okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Fear that you said. So the fear in people. So if you don't want to fear anything, don't do anything wrong. Just do the right thing. Okay. If you're in power, we put you in office. People elected you as a president and put you in office. Do the right thing for the country. Don't take their money. Don't allow their money to be wasted. Anybody that takes their money, people's money, hold them accountable. Arrest them, prosecute, put them in prison. Set that example so people can believe in anything that you say, because when they see that you're taking action, because you're not doing anything yourself, those who are around you are doing it. The moment that the first person gets up and take $1,000, even 1,000, fire them from their job. Fire them. It's Gambian people's job. Money. So if you start to take actions like that, hold it. That's what's holding yourself accountable for, and then hold the people accountable. So, and create that transparency there. When you do that, people will trust you. But if you don't do that, you're going to live in fear. Yeah, you're gonna live in fear. So people that, like you said, that comment about that one Ibrahim Sisa, what he was saying, well, that to me indicates that he knows that they've done something wrong. That's why he's fearing going to prison. But if you didn't do anything wrong, you should not fear for anyone to even come arrest you, let alone go to prison. So that's the key word. That's my take on that. It's very, very important for any leader to really lead by example. Well, I always say this: lead by example. Leaders have to lead by example, not by force. You cannot force people to like you. You cannot force people to make them vote for you to be in office. So just lead by example. Do the right thing. It's the best thing to do. Do the right thing. Help the country to move in the right direction and stop that wasteful spending and stop the corruption. If you can't stop the corruption, get out. Just say to the Gambian people, I will resign because I can't stop this corruption. Allow somebody else to come and do it. Allow somebody else to come do it. That gives you that keeps your integrity. It keeps your integrity in check. It keeps the respect for you. It keeps your legacy intact because you're being honest to people. And that's honesty is one of the key elements or ingredients of a great leader. Great leader have to have a vision for your people, love for the people in the country, love and vision for the country as well. Honesty, integrity, trustworthiness. All of these are part of leadership. You want to be honest to your people. Tell them the truth all the time. So just by holding yourself accountable can do that. Anyway, so finally, I would say that it is bad. It is going to be bad if we allow our president and any president whatsoever to stay in power for another third term. Like I said, Gambian people were ignorant in those days, in the old days. By 2016, they got very well educated through social media. They got very well knowledgeable in politics as well. So as a result, it was a wake-up call. And part of that wake-up call alerts Gambians to understand how politics works, to understand how the country should be ruled, to understand that they are the power. The people are the power, and power belongs to the people. They know all of that now. That's why nobody can fool you. Nobody can fool them anymore. So 2 terms is enough. Like I said, the greatest president. If you look at You look at even just American history. You and I are in the U.S. American history. You look at them. The greatest presidents in America. They named them. If you search, then you'll see Abraham Lincoln is on the top there. President Washington is on there. Even President Obama is one of the top 10 greatest presidents of the United States. President Obama is. Clinton is there. George Bush is there. Roosevelt is there. See, all of these people came and served 2 terms and left. So because they were great, doesn't mean Americans will say, all right, you stay there forever. Go for 2, 3 terms. Stay there until you cannot do it anymore. That doesn't happen. They come in and do their part and go. That's what we want to see Gambia. Come in, any president. Come in, do your part and leave. You can do what you can. The next person may do better than you. Okay? Because if they don't do better than you, guess what? What's going to happen to them? It's just like what happened to President Trump. They serve 1 term and people will not vote for them again. They will try somebody else. If that person also don't do what they expect from them, that person is also going to last 1 term. That's it. That's why we need to go Gambia. I am encouraging every Gambian. This is what we need to do to be able to see our country. We don't want only a few individuals to be on the top there and be rich and get richer and richer while the others are poor. And the poor people continue to beg and beg and beg and go after these people to be able to earn a living. Why don't you just allow everybody to earn their own living? Let everyone have the opportunity to build, their own wealth, and be able to grow their family, be able to live comfortably just like everybody else. So nobody goes around, go after money. You see, otherwise, where we are now, like I said, this is what triggers the military coup in Africa. Leaders get greedy. They stole so much money in their countries, and they don't want to leave. They've had the fear if they leave, they will be prosecuted. Well, without realizing, if they don't leave, the military will come after them and take them out, arrest them, all right, torture them on top of that, then prosecute them, take them to prison, freeze all their assets, confiscates everything that they have, which throws their family in the land of nowhere. Their families that used to live in big mansions end up living either on the streets or with family members because they can't afford to live on their own, because their dad did not set the best example. Their dad stole and stole and stole from the country. The government realized that they took it all away. So this is what they end up getting. So it's best for President Barrow to really work on the remaining years in his final term. I'll call this final term, second term. Work on the remaining years to fix something. Fix, even if it's one thing, fix healthcare, fix security reform, fix agriculture, fix the tourism, industry, fix the land disputes in our country. Go fix that, get rid of that, what is it called? That stupid company called security tax that's at our airport, making all of us pay our money to they collect our money, and we don't see where that money is going. It's been years.
I hate that. I hate that security.
And the worst thing is, I heard they signed 15 years for that. How can you let something like that happen? 15 years they're gonna be collecting our money, which doesn't happen anywhere.
Is there a way that I can come to Gambia without going through that airport?
I know. I mean, just this year, this is what, the month of June, right? The month of June. We're in the month of June. Just this year, I'll give you an example. I have flown. I went to different airports. I went to Paris. I went to Brussels, and I went to other international airports and domestic airports within the United States. I did not pay a dime, not even a dime extra to get in and out of any airport. But Gambia, I went to Gambia. I paid to get in. I paid to get out. I came back in the same year. I paid to get in and I paid to get out. Boy, that is very annoying, especially if you don't see. If I were to see anything, if I had seen a huge improvement in the country, let's say after collecting all of the airport tax the first year, and they turn around and reinvest all of that money in our airport. Our airport I didn't even see air conditioning. I was there and I was sweating. I seen people sweating and fanning themselves. How stupid can we be? Can we allow people to collect our money and they can't even put air conditioning in our airport? What are the improvements do they put in it? I mean, I saw a big luggage scared. They're scared suitcases, but I've also seen people sitting in front of screens that were supposed to watch that screen and supposed to watch what is in that suitcase. Guess what they were doing? They were sitting down just on their cell phone. That's all I saw. They were on their cell phones and going through cell phones, not even paying attention.
Or their cell phone, or their drinking attire or stuff like that.
Yeah. So these are things that are annoying to Gambians. We need to stop all of this. That's why we need President Barrow to serve 2 terms and get out. So hopefully the next president coming can use his executive power and stop that stupid airport tax, and then look into it and see what it is and how.
I don't think these people, first of all, not to cut you off, they don't know how to manage money, and they want to create revenue by doing illegal, by touching, by implementing fees that don't make sense. People should freely fly from the country without having, they pay already their tickets, they pay their airport taxes. It's enough for them to, fly. I mean, they shouldn't even mess with that. I don't know whose idea was that, but that was a dumb idea.
I mean, and we're driving tourists away from our country, because tourists know they can go to Nigeria, they can go to Ghana, they can go to Yugoslavia, they can go anywhere else and land there without paying it down. But when they come to Gambia, they're going to have to pay a fee to get in and pay a fee to get out. They will stop coming. That's going to kill our tourism industry, our tourism. So that's what it does. Even if they did it for 2 years and collect all of that money and say, okay, Gambians, for these past 2 years, this is what we've collected. And here is the proof. This is what we invested into. Now you go to the airport, you can see all the difference there. But what do I see? Cobwebs, nasty bathrooms, people playing on the cell phones, all the wrong things. So that's what you see. I mean, there has been some improvements, not from Barrow's government. What Gambia put in there is there. The airport has improved from where it used to be, but and without collecting any extra tax from people. Now that we collect the tax from people, and the saddest thing that really makes me very uncomfortable with this situation is that it was signed for 15 years. I was told 15 years. Well, we're gonna be paying this for 15 years.
When did it start?
What's that?
When did it start?
I'm not sure. I think a couple of years ago. They started a couple of years ago.
Like so, 5 years ago?
Maybe about 5. I don't know the exact date, but I know it's been there a couple of years now. So since Barrow came into power, I'll put it out.
And where is the money going?
That's what we can't see. That's the most frustrating part. You can't see where the money is going.
Even if you can even put that money inside the ticket, that probably makes more sense than having people to physically pay.
If you look at your airline tickets, you can see airport tax in there. Every airline, you will see airport tax when you're flying. You will see airport tax. It's always there. You're already paying tax. This is a secondary tax. And the other saddest part is, it was not done through the right channel. Normally, when you impose a levy on a tax, anything to do with tax that you're going to impose on people, it needed to go to the National Assembly. But this one did not go. This was decided at the State House. And contract was done by the State House, not through the National Assembly. And I feel so sad too that our National Assembly allowed this to happen. They didn't step in and stop it. Up to now, it's continuing to happen.
I think it should be, somebody should put a petition to
it. They should. I mean, I talked about it in my audios, and I know that I heard something on radio that they are going to look at.
Yeah, they should bring a petition against it, and
something like that. When that happened, that's when they should have told the president, no. This cannot happen. You cannot impose levy on people, tax people without coming to the National Assembly.
Yeah,
so you cannot. I mean, and this was part of I think the former Ministry of Finance, that Mambourine Jai, who also caused a lot of stuff in our country. Between him and the State House or the President's office and all that stuff. They did all this. This is really wrong. It's wrong to Gambians. And we cannot continue to live on this. So we need change. That's why we need to have a 2-term limit, bring another president. Hopefully that first
Yeah,
president.
there's no point.
Some of these.
Listen, even if the president is doing a great job, there's no point to be going over 2 limits because, again, Gambian people have spoken their mind. They don't want their leaders to go beyond 2. Why can't African leaders understand this and their supporters?
Yep.
It's not about them. It's about the country. Put your country first and serve the need for the people. It doesn't matter if the president is doing a standing job. That's not the point here. Honor that 2-term limit and give somebody a chance. I think that is the mindset that these leaders need to understand. Otherwise, you are jeopardizing your own popularity. You create more problem in the country. You might also live in a way that you probably wouldn't want to. So to eliminate all those problems, what you need to do as a leader, tell your people, listen, you have your life, I have my life. I need to look out for me and my country. Yeah, because these people who are telling you this, they're not looking out for you as the president, Mr. President. They are not. They are looking out for themselves. When you pass, the time that people want you to leave and something happens, you're gonna be in the same predicament your predecessor. And where is these people gonna go? They're gonna be drinking their coffee in their houses. So listen, be smart and do the right thing for the interests of the country. That's all I can say. When 2-3 years comes, pass the baton to another party leader, let them contest an election. If they win, wassalam. If they don't win, wassalam. And let's have a free and fair election, and Gambian people's choice is represented, and we move forward. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, thank you. That's it. It's very important for all Gambians. Anyone that's watching this, please, please, please talk to your people. Talk to your National Assembly. Tell them we need the 2-term limit in the Constitution, and this has to pass for Gambia to see a better future. We cannot continue to allow one person rule us for more than 2 terms. Those days are over. Gambian people have woken up. They're not ignorant anymore. They are educated and they're knowledgeable. So they cannot fool us.
And that is gradually showing in the polls recently.
Absolutely. That's why we have those changes. So we all need to push for 2-term limit, no matter who the person is. 2-term, enough. That's enough. Thank you, and you all have a great day.
Thank you, Sam.
Yep.
We catch you later. Yeah. Very good conversation. Take care.
Sure. Thank you.